I did a video once, I don't know how many people saw it, about war and how many people die, millions and millions. And that if you just want to accept common sense and the science that we know so far, then the universe is full of life, with probably millions and millions of those dying. And there's probably literally, trillions dying all the time, every day throughout the universe, going to that other place. And it's like, oh man, there's going to be a traffic jam or it's going to be crowded. No, it's not like that. Time. See, the corruption of being in these bodies, the way we receive all of our information, the way our memories are formed and sifted through by the animal, of course. We can only really, we're limited in how we can think. I talked about asking people, picture how big the number is for infinity. And people actually went, that would be a really big number. And then when I told them, well, it's kind of a trick question, they think about it for a moment. I mean, I can see the distress because they can't think the ideal of an actual infinity, they understand, escapes them. It escapes all of us. I don't think there's a human alive that can actually hold the concept of infinity in their minds and understand truly what it means. Literally trillions of people, sentiences, sentient conscious individuals going to this place all the time. And that was why I told you about the circle of life, individuals very close to this pillar of light. There were fewer of these kind of species. I said they look like trees with different shaped heads, and that was their faces. I knew that. I just instinctually knew that that's how they recognized one another, was the shape of their heads. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. And as it went out from there, I wasn't really allowed to see the detail. I just saw how different they were for about a light year or so, and then it started going, you don't need to see too much of this. And we human beings and the animals throughout the universe that are just like us in every way, they were also there with us, and different colors, different sizes, different shapes, but we were all humans. And we weren't the last. I remember clearly we were not the last ones, but we were very close. So we just made it. You can be thankful that where we are right now, we're allowed to create information. The fact that we can create information here means that it was all created before the Big Bang, before the quantum event. Superdeterminism. I'm a very deterministic believer. I believe in the holographic principle of reality, that the information comes from somewhere else, that this universe has no dimensionality. And you can call me a determinist, yes. But we barely made it. Now, what comes before that, I was not allowed to see. I wasn't allowed to see the originating point of anything. Maybe because it was, I don't know. I wasn't allowed anyway, which I always found funny because they could determine what I was allowed to remember and what I wasn't allowed to remember. But this is the weird part, is that throughout my life, I would have these incidences where it would be like, bam, deja vu squared, for a long period of time. We're talking about 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes of deja vu. You experience that one time and it will change your life forever. And these little slices that I had pulled out during my near-death experience, when they showed me my life, when those events happen, I'm like, oh, fuck. It's very disturbing. You know, all the destruction and the death you're seeing right now caused by Vladimir Putin or the Ukrainian government murdering women because they didn't wear their hijab just right. These people are in a better place. But it's not the kind of place you could even hope in your wildest dreams to comprehend or hold. Just like the concept of infinity, there's no way you could hold that place. I tried. I really scared my mom for many years, making her take me to all these different religious places, every church you could think of. And it just, what I was looking for just wasn't there until she finally told me. I think she started to understand, because I kept explaining to her about what had happened, and she was freaked out for a long time. But I think she took me. She accepted it as the truth. She was a very smart woman, and she accepted it as the truth. Every day that those people are passing over to that place. Now, something that I've tried to approach with reason, and I just get confused when I think about it. I had a near-death experience. I've read literally 100 different accounts of the near-death experience. 90% of them are real. And I know exactly what they were feeling and how they felt, and why, mothers would be like, no, my kids will be fine. I want to stay. And they're like, no, you have to go back. See, that's a place for near death and people who commit suicide, who break the time and the amount that what they were supposed to fulfill. You see, even though it was predestined, okay? Super determinism was in effect at the moment of that quantum event that started this expansion. But you do have free choice now. You can play exactly out the life that you planned, for the lessons to be learned that you planned on basically volunteering for, or you can change that. There is no limit. There's no absolutes. God never places an absolute on us. They told me that. It's what you chose. You can choose different if you wish, which to me is just beautiful. And there's nothing there but love and understanding. No religion, no religion, no religion. There was no religion. That was made absolutely, positively clear to me how horrible religion was. And in my search, every time I walked into a church as a little boy looking for what I had, went through, I was literally terrified. It was the exact opposite of the God that I saw, the exact opposite. And it's always been that way. I tried it again when I grew up, and it was the exact same thing. I saw the hypocrisy and the evil and the greed and the control, and it was just like, that's it. That's it. I'm done with this bullshit, and they're not going to get another shot. And that's why when the Jehovah's Witnesses come to my house, I trap them in here. And I run them through the ringer. I ask them the joke about 3 guys walk into a bar. I don't think I have it on this. I don't think I have it here. Let me see. 3 guys walk into a bar. Darn it. Shucky darns. Oh, wait. Here we go. Let's try this one. Let's try. I have two of them. So 3 guys walk in a bar, and I want you to tell me, we're going to play a little game. I want you to tell me, these are 3 young, the leader, he was the oldest guy, maybe 20. The other guy was around 17, and the girl was around 16. And boy, they were really working it hard on me. Love, love, love. And I'm like, okay, well, I said, let's play a little game. And I told them the 3 guys walk into a bar. I said, you raise your hand when you think you know who I'm talking about. I said, okay, we're gonna randomly start with this person. I said, he was born of a virgin on December 25th. His birth was announced by a star in the east. He was attended by 3 wise men. Oh, all 3 hands went up. All 3 hands went up. I said, wait a minute. He was a child teacher in the temple and was baptized when he was 30 by blank the baptizer. Another hands went up. I said, wait. He had 12 disciples. He performed miracles. He walked on water, and all of them said, Jesus Christ, your Savior. I was like, okay, well, let's finish here. He transfigured on the mount. He was crucified, buried in a tomb, and resurrected 3 days later. He was called the way, the truth, the light, the Messiah, God's anointed Son, the Son of Man, the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, the Word. He was the fisher and was associated with the lamb, lion, and fish. And they're all like, well, that's Jesus. I said, no. Okay, so now I can see the gears turning because they're all thinking in a religious term. Listen, there is no religion there. You're a quantum being. There is no religion there. Okay? It's only love and understanding. All that the hell that's there, we create ourselves. I said, okay, let's go to character number 2. He was born of a virgin on December 25th. Now they're not so eager to raise their hand. He was considered a great traveling teacher and master. He had 12 disciples and he performed miracles. He was buried in a tomb, and after 3 days he rose again. His resurrection was celebrated every year during the principal festival held on what would become Easter. All of them said Jesus. And I said, okay, well, let me finish. I said, he was called the Good Shepherd, the way, the truth, the light, the Redeemer, the Savior, the Messiah. He was identified with both the lion, the lamb, and his sacred day was Sunday. And they all said Jesus. And I said, no. And I said, number 3, born of a virgin, star in the east, performed miracles, called the Son of God, had 12 disciples, resurrected after 3 days. And they all said, well, that has to be Jesus. And I said, no. I said, we're talking about 3 separate people that lived thousands of years apart, and none of them were Jesus. And so now they're confused. I said, if you go up to the church up at the end of the street, you'll see there's a cross with a circle. I said, do you know what that is? That's the astrological sign cut in half. I said, that's a pagan cross, and they have it on their church. Do you guys have one like that? They started getting the message real quick that they had stepped into a trap. And so the girl actually gets down on her knees and starts praying. And now I felt sorry for him. I'm like, okay, so I want you to remember this. Now, everything I just told you, you can go look up on your own. Look up Mithra. I said, you can look all these things up yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. If you want to think for yourself, right? Because I told them all religions for me are a cult. I said, if you're not willing to go check and see if what I said was true, then you're in a cult. See, and I know that sticks with them because if they don't look, now they start looking more critically at the church. Because if they're not going to go verify it, they're going to look to see if it's going to get verified for them. They don't like me. None of the preachers here, because I embarrassed them all one day, and they deserved it. Religion as far as I'm concerned, is just the most horrible disease on mankind. Not that there weren't great human beings that lived and set examples for us to be better, to be less animal and more spiritual, to take care of one's brother better, you know, be responsible for the whole human race instead of oneself. Every day, you know, it's just an unimaginable number of sentiences moved to this other place. That's what these are for. If there's more, if I don't believe in the multi-universe, I'm sorry. I cannot do that. It is messy, it is wasteful, and it doesn't seem like anything this reality that I've seen that it would choose that. Okay, that's wasteful, and it's not the shortest path. And okay, I am, you know, I'm for predestination. That's the conclusion I came to quite a few years ago. And it's what I've been telling people: leave good information. You have a choice. That information is going to be permanent, and maybe, you know, untold trillions of beings are going to live your life. They will live it from birth to death as if they were you. And you may live the life of a being millions of years more advanced than us, way smarter, in a peaceful society. You know what I mean? Where war isn't the second biggest habit besides, you know, politics. Lots of entities cross over every day. People don't think of that. This war porn thing where someone gets killed when I see a tank destroyed. I know that 3 people just discovered that this life was just a blink in the eye of time, a blink, that it was us being saved by God to form us into a conscious, sentient, coherent, cohesive quantum being. You remain individual, and you become part of the whole, but yet individual. You now have access to everything. You're no longer an animal. You don't get hungry. You don't have pain. You don't have fear. You don't have guilt. You don't have hope. You don't have anything. Hope is such a small word there. Hope is a small word there. It can't be described like that. It's different. It's so different that the human mind can't comprehend it. I've tried for 15 years to tell people that having all knowledge, I mean, all knowledge from any sentient being that had ever existed anywhere in the universe since the universe was created, I had access to all the information they contained. At will. If I had a question in my mind, it was automatically answered by the most relevant and exact and pure answer and simple answer to my question. You see, I do believe that if everyone knew what came next, we'd all go check out tomorrow. And that's why we have this horrible, you know, sense of self-preservation. Basically, you know, drowning people will drown you trying to save themselves. You know what I mean? That's what that instinct will do to you. So don't celebrate this death. You know, people like Vladimir Putin, Hitler, Stalin, these people who are basically responsible for the deaths of, you know, thousands and in some cases millions, they lived every one of those lives. Think about that punishment that they brought on themselves. Because the minute you're there, you're no longer human, and you're like, oh my God, and you understand the horrible terribleness of what you've done. Not to a small degree, to the most minute position of every atom. That's how well you remember everything. And you will live the life of every one of those lives that you caused to be taken prematurely. So can you imagine how many times Hitler is going to die? And he'll do it until he's cleansed and all of the evil is taken away from that information, but it will still exist. It will still exist there, but it has to be cleansed. And that's what this place is where I went. You're not ready to be with God yet, so you come here. It definitely was a different place. It was not heaven, because they showed me there was still a divider between this and God. And there was a reason for that, of course. They told me, and I went, oh, of course. Don't fear death, and you won't fear living. Don't cheer the death of the enemy. You see what's going on. These guys are being snatched off the street and then pushed into the front lines with a rusty gun. I mean, how can you take any kind of honor by destroying an enemy that you have to destroy because he's told to go and kill those people and you need to stop that? The only way you're going to stop it is to stop him. And it's up to those soldiers, it's up to those Russians who all ran the fuck away to go back and say, stop. If Russians had a real insurgency going in Russia, if all those guys who ran away instead were in an insurgency, then Russia would change in a very short period of time. Any internal turmoil is shut down rather quickly because Russians have a very short, believe it or not, the Russian people have a very short fuse when it comes to czars, leaders, okay? The moment they feel, okay, we've fucking had enough and it happens real quick. It's not a long drawn out process. The tree is still being chopped down little by little. It's being stubborn, but it's losing. I'm so glad it's gone. I now have a beautiful shot of the sunsets back here. It's awesome. Okay. I've ranted enough. I just want you guys to don't think about death as just that's the end and then this person's dead, and we tend to shut that out because it reminds us of our own mortality. No human escapes death or will escape death. That's it. See? So it's better to, why waste 1 minute fearing your end when it serves no purpose whatsoever? Okay? Only to give you anxiety. That's all. And it's your instinct for survival that makes you afraid. It makes you scarified. It makes you, when you think about dying, that, oh, everything's just going to stop and it's just going to end. Well, wait a minute. You couldn't hold infinity in your mind. How do you expect to hold what happens next on a quantum level? Watch the video on Sir Roger Penrose and the microtubules. I think you'll get a good grasp of what I'm talking about. Don't celebrate the death of the enemy. Yes, you have to defeat your enemy, but there's something going on more than when you see the tank explode. There's more happening than just seeing a tank explode like a video game, okay? There are 3 quantum intelligences that just went to the other side and have realized, holy fuck. Well, they didn't say that, but I mean, I say that here, I won't say that there. They'll just be, wow. They won't care about this or the loved ones they left behind or anything else. They are so far above and beyond that, again, we can't imagine it. That's why mothers who've died they're like, well, your children, and mothers have said, my children will be fine. See? That's pretty serious. So just remember, when you see that happening, that there's also another miracle happening, okay? It's not just a tank exploding. There's actually miracles happening.